Morning.
Hello there.
Oh, wow. Flying in there.
Just getting back to my normal place.
Yeah. I got the memo about the check shirt, thanks.
I
got the memo about the check shirt.
Check shock.
Checked shirt.
Ah.
Oh, Nico got it as well. Good.
I was working.
Morning, all. Morning, Nico.
Good morning, everyone. Continued, that's it. I've just got a text from Alan, and he makes his apologies. There is not going to be at the meeting, and therefore you've got me.
Don't worry. I'm sure it's going to be as good as...
No. We've got an upgraded Nico.
I like your shirt, by the way, Kevin.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I was just saying to Robin that I got the memo about the check shirt.
Classy for summer. Yeah,
absolutely.
I wanted to make sure you guys could see me. That's why.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's not much summer outside at the moment, unfortunately.
Oh no, we're warm. We've got 80-90% blue sky up here.
Yeah, wow. We're the same where I am in East Lothian. Yeah, very nice. Yeah,
yes, lovely.
Morning, all.
Morning, Barry.
Morning, Nico.
Hello.
Thank you very much,
everybody.
Before the meeting, just having a straight vodka just to make sure that it's clear.
Sun's always over
COVID.
Daniel, long time no see, Daniel. How's the hotel going?
Incredibly busy. Incredibly busy.
I join it because it's good to get to hear what they say.
Yeah. Who's?
Hello.
Yeah.
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 Somebody's talking. I'm not sure who.
I'm hoping I won't have to play it.
So it's been incredibly busy, Robin, as you can imagine. We're suffering the
Morning,
same
all.
as most hoteliers.
Yeah, do you fancy doing
struggling to recruit experienced staff. Demand's high. It's just incredibly difficult at the moment. But we're muddling through. It's all you can, I suppose, isn't it?
Daniel, that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So it's a good day to talk about that and to see what we are going to do, for the future. So I'll just take the nod from Robin when he wants us to start, so I can share my screen.
Just we'll have Karina on first. Just checking on the outlook of things around here. Sure. I suppose it kind of helps our industry that the government doesn't know whether to call something amber, green, red, blue, or dark purple at the moment, doesn't it?
Because they're colorblind.
Yeah.
And that's why I've got a shirt like this. It's actually blue.
So I was watching television this morning, the news, and I can't remember who it was, saying, well, we should now start, why aren't people just, traveling, at home and going places like Devon and Cornwall or Scotland? Like, most of the country are, it is mental. I live on quite a main road from Penzance to Helston. And the road is, it's busier than I've ever seen it. It's just, I know that's summer anyway, but even a normal summer, it's just non-stop.
I think the problem people are finding now is that actually they can't go low unless they want to go to a city centre. They can't actually get anything because it's all booked up.
We're turning so many people away now. We're getting to a point where we lost 2 with COVID last week. Luckily for us, they tested positive on their days off, so we've been able to. We're like flying by the seat of our pants. At the minute, we've just been purely lucky. We had to go on the spa. We had to close the spa for the weekend, but that was only because she was already off isolating because her boyfriend had it. We just kind of been incredibly lucky that we've been able to continue trading without having to close down completely, and that is just pure luck. Just pure luck of when one of our girls was off for a week anyway, and she contracted it halfway through her week off. So again, we've not been able to ramp up our business from when she came back, but hey ho, at least she hasn't brought it back into the business. And yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult and stressful, but hey ho, it's all part of the fun, isn't it? I suppose.
And as a few of you have actually noticed, one of our colleagues was mentioning that some of the hotels are operating below their maximum occupancy because they're unable to get the staff. One of my clients yesterday that I was talking to up in the north of Scotland, they are charging great money for the rooms, but they can't actually service all the rooms because they haven't got the staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a hotel the other day I was talking to. They basically got the whole of the management team upstairs cleaning rooms.
Yeah,
because they just can't,
absolutely.
haven't got. Anyway, let's start with the presentations. First, we have Karina giving us a bit of well-being. So I'll just make sure that we can share the screens. There we go. And over to you, Karina.
Hello, everyone. Let me just make sure I have my presentation set up. And I've been kind of a quiet participant on this forum so far, because there's always so much interesting conversation, but maybe I'll bring something a bit different for you guys. Just let me know if you can all see my screen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about the superpower of calmness in businesses overall, but I think particularly in the hospitality and tourism industry, which we're all in. I've been also a hotel GM for most of my past 20 years career. I've managed leading a hotel of the world properties in Brazil, which you probably won't know, but so that's why I just usually say it's part of leading. Being living in the UK for 5 years, managed to manage 2 hotels in here as well before deciding to start my own business to really try to help more hospitality and travel businesses to find a place of top performance and serenity, to retain their staff and then reach better results. So that's what I'm going to talk about here, and hopefully you can relate and take a bit into your day-to-days, which, as you're all mentioning, is not very calm recently, if ever, but we can get there, I believe. So a bit about who I am, then I've just kind of given you a quick intro, but everything that I've done actually through my career, and then obviously bring it to my business, is trying to help find organizational well-being to organizations. When I talk about it, it goes beyond the whole let's meditate or find a place of calmness and all that, but it's actually, if a business was a person, what would it take for it to be healthy and prosperous and happy and healthy? So it's about balancing people, quality and profit. So if you manage to give equal energy and focus, I believe, into those KPIs, and how your financial results, obviously that's something that we rarely forget. The quality as well, quite often we're looking to our NPS, our reviews from customers, but then putting equal weight on the people element, I believe we can go a lot further. And I have some really, good cases in the past that it really works, and you probably can relate with them. But the challenge is also that in our industry, we have what I call the hospitality paradox, where you have this mission to bring well-being and smiles to people. But then what I've often questioned through my career as well is what's behind those smiles, isn't it? Because when I joined hospitality, I joined it because I wanted to be part of the smiles, the happiness, that whole feeling that you get when you're traveling yourself. And I think that's what a lot of us feel when getting into the career, if we just don't randomly fall into it. But then you start to see a lot of the challenges that are now really out in the open in regards to what's happening with the staff. But now, well, if well-being is at the heart of what being hospital well-being is, making people feel comfortable at home, providing a warm and friendly and kind environment for others, I find it, it should be a no-brainer to try to work on that for ourselves as well, as people who are working in the industry. Because if you're welcoming people in your home, it will be a lot easier to provide a nice environment for them if you're happy yourself. Like if you're just trying to hide away, you just had a fight with your husband, kids are screaming and shouting, you're trying to shy away from that and put on a face. People feel that, and it's not going to be as welcoming as a positive experience to others. But then there's a study. I mean, this study is from 2019 from the I never know the letters quite properly, RSPH here in the UK, but I'm sure if they did this study again, these figures would be even more prominent. It's called Service Without a Smile, the study, which I find it really soothing. And, you know, all these things that a lot of people have been verbally abused by customers. They don't think the sector looks after its employees. Nearly 1 out of 2 want to quit working in the sector. And we felt that now, I mean, if people could, then probably those 48% just went and worked into something else. And that's why we can't get them to come back to work with us. 2 out of 10 reported severe mental health problems that they believe were the direct result of their jobs. And that's just severe mental health problems. I mean, we have a lot more that actually say that to a degree they experience challenges. But despite all of that, 9 out of 10 didn't have any support or training on mental health and well-being. So that was 2019. Again, the world's changed a lot in just 2 years. So I'm thinking many more businesses are trying to put a focus on that. But the challenge is when you're dealing with so much of the day-to-day firefighting, how do you put an effort into that, and what can you do to meet those needs, right? And that's what I want to try to share a bit with you here. Because it's really important that we find a solution. I mean, if you look at all the top performance, and we're having the Olympics now, which is full of insights and inspiration for us all, you see that the top performance can remain calm under pressure. And when they don't, they are quitting the games. You know, that's not necessarily that their physical performance is not there, but their mental state is not in the right place, so they won't be able to get that gold medal. So it's a lot easier for me to talk about this now because we're seeing this every day. And then obviously, if you have prolonged stress, then it will decrease your performance. So learning how to manage that individually, but then within your team is the key to reaching that organizational well-being that I talk about in terms of hitting your performance on those 3 elements of people, quality, and profit. The fact that we don't do it too well brings all those challenges that we see at the moment in our industry. These are some of the ones that I think are more prominent at the moment in terms of the staff turnover, skill shortage, and just the stressful working culture that's pushing a lot of people out. And the longer I think we struggle to find a solution, the more stressful the working culture will be for those who are there, and the more people will move away. So I think it's really, we all know how critical it is to try to find a solution to show people that even if it's going to take a while, because those things are really hard to bring a quick fix, that you're making the right efforts into the right direction, so that people that there are feeling confident that there is a solution in sight, rather than, you know, just being in a position where it feels like you will be in that forever. So for myself personally, I mean, I have a personal story with the whole idea of calmness, because when I got my first GM role at this prominent, you know, was meant to be the best countryside hotel in Latin America. I was becoming a GM that at only 30 years of age. And my first board meeting with the directors and owners, everything was like wrong and nothing was really working. And one of the directors said, "Oh, it's a good thing that you're calm," but he was quite ironic, as if by being calm, I wouldn't last or it wouldn't work. That being said, the GM who was there previously, who took over the whole implementation of the hotel, but couldn't last 2 weeks beyond opening, left because of burnout. So that whole really became really important for me. I said, look, if I want to make it work, I need to make it work for me. I need to really keep that place of calmness to reach performance. And I started to implement a series of actions within 5 years. You know, the hotel was the best performance in the group. Our HR manager became head of HR for the whole group. Now they have hotels, you know, in New York. They're hopefully opening one in London sometime. But a lot of the culture that was shifted was based on some of the work that we did, which is what I'm bringing to the services we provide as well. So that's the whole power of calmness. Good thing I'm not alone thinking like this. And again, the Olympics has a lot of people echoing that importance of finding that place of serenity. But we have some real renowned leaders as well, like Jacinda Ardern's constantly on trending on Twitter and LinkedIn with her phrases, you know, saying that she's faced a lot of criticism for not being aggressive enough or assertive enough, and that maybe that would mean that she's weak, when actually she believes that you can be compassionate and strong at the same time. And then you have Carlo Ancelotti, who I think he's no longer Everton Football Club manager, actually. I probably need to update that. But he has a book actually on quiet leadership, which is quite interesting. And he talks about that importance of bringing strength to not that overpowering and shouty kind of leadership style. This is a poll that I usually do when I do these webinars with bigger audiences. We could have done it here, but I couldn't sort it out. So you can just reflect it, and I invite you to maybe reflect that with your teams. Because a lot of times when I ask, okay, now that I've built that case, how much do you think then that calmness can help your performance and engagement? And a lot of people are like, yeah, super helps, that would be awesome. But then when you ask how much it is present in your business, it's usually, 50-50. A lot of people are, not really there. So that's the gap that I believe we need to bridge. But we know it's not easy. We as leaders as well, when you are in high stress situations, we tend to react quite poorly. We become more closed-minded. We just shut off, just become heated or angry, and all those, which are human, reactions. And there's nothing bad. You're not a bad person by doing that. This is where we need to find ways to improve individually, but also to create an environment where you can help each other not fall into that trap of behaving purely in high stress situations. It's a lot easier when you have everyone around you understanding what the goal is and kind of supporting each other to get to that place. And beyond that, I think as a leader, you have a responsibility to do that. It's not good enough to say, yeah, I just get stressed, or, this is just me. I think it is the leader's responsibility to instill that support and to create an environment where people can feel that safeness, that they're safe, and that they can, that you're helping them to overcome those challenges and to get that place of stress, less stress. And it's also a great opportunity. I mean, when you get to that environment where you have people who are engaged, it's amazing. That's where we feel that, yes, this is why I chose to work in hospitality. All those great things that you bring to clients, that feeling goodness that you have when you are providing great experience in your restaurant, in your spa, your rooms, you're setting up a room really nicely for your guests. So it's a great opportunity that I think is being missed, because of the whole scenario that we're in. But I would like to think there are a few things that we can do. And I'm going to share 3 tips that are very simple, that maybe you can come out from this meeting and say, okay, let me give it a go and see what I can do to start into this journey. So the first of them is to try to be ready. And obviously last year, no one could be ready for COVID. So I do realize we all know that there'll be risks that we won't be able to anticipate. But really trying to stop some time to do an actual assessment of what could happen, and try to plan ahead and organize your processes and review what you can do to improve, if something happens that disrupts your operations, and sharing the knowledge between us. Now, you've been sharing a lot on all these forums. I hear about, people stepping up, doing things from other departments. So I know hospitality is a very much a place where we share knowledge, we learn from each other, we're willing to step up, but also trying to somehow plan ahead and see whether there are technology solutions maybe that can offset some of the issues we're having with staff shortages. What are the solutions that are out there that in a future situation, or if this situation continues on, because we don't know whether there'll be actually a green light at the end of the tunnel in terms of our recruitment crisis. So are we just going to keep on complaining that we can't hire anyone, or are we going to try to see what we can do differently? I don't have all the answers, but I think it's just really now using that energy, which I think is still very much focused on the problems, on, okay, what is working out there in terms of the solutions to overcome this problem if it carries on being an issue. So obviously planning is always super important. The next thing is to stop to reflect. I mean, the count to 10, but it could be count to however long. And I know it's really hard now, especially if you are being operational, working 8 hours a week. I've been there. I know how hard it is to stop, to reflect about what's happening and the feelings, and to really collect your thoughts and thinking before you react. but trying to separate sometimes, at least with your leaders, to really get away from all the chaos and the to-do lists, and to say, okay, what are we doing here? Where do we want to get to? How can we have some pockets of time to really reflect with each other is really, really key. And we take this for granted so often. I mean, I do it on my personal life all the time. So it is really important to try to plan for those pauses if you can within your operations. And you will find that time. We know it is possible to find, if it is 5-10 minutes in a day, it is doable. And then the third one is to get some perspective. And I know it's really hard when you're in all those problems. We always see the glass half full, or maybe we only feel that's like 10% full at the moment. And it's really, really hard to see anything, the positives. But I'm sure you have so many stories of resilience, of people who are, coming in and doing their best to side with you as leaders, to bring your business back up. And then we might take that for granted, and not recognize that employee because you're so worried with the problems. So really trying to look at what's happening that is good, and giving that more emphasis and more power than the problem. So what's working, what people are really shining through, and what can you learn from that, and bringing people together, and even having some sense of humor, which I think, a lot of the times, especially when you're working with this younger generations, going to work in a place that is fun, it's so important. I mean, for me, it's always been important. I think no matter your age, it's important. But trying to create a light environment, and maybe again creating some routines around that, because we will forget. And that's my final lesson, let's say, if I can call it that, which is to plan for it, and to find some moments of time that you can do that. You don't need to do it alone. You might need help. Like this forum is a great opportunity for us to exchange those ideas, but also just building some routines with your team that you can say, okay, this is when we're going to do the planning. This is what I'm going to stop to reflect. Let's do maybe on your Friday, on your weekly meetings, looking at what are the wins of this week. Just making sure that you're focusing on the positives will gradually bring that shift where people will think, yes, this is all being really, really hard, but you know what, on Friday, we got a big pat on the back, we got this acknowledgement, we know where we're going, and that will bring more people in. If anything, you'll become more popular amongst your other, hoteliers around you, and maybe, be the employer of choice, because that might be the solution. There will be a skill shortage, but I'm sure that for the best employers, if you're doing your work, in some time, that reputation will become known, and you will not have to struggle with staff. And that's, from experience, that happened in a couple of hotels I worked in, where people just you have a queue of people wanting to join. I have a friend who wants to come, I have someone who would like to join when there's an opportunity. So you can create that sort of environment in time. So this was my brief overview. I'm going to share the slides afterwards. This is at the backbone, let's say, of everything that I offer in terms of solutions to hospitality organizations or not, but mainly this is the sector that I like to help. So one thing that I do is there's the BCRING program, which is all around emotional intelligence at work, and it brings the whole team into this learning journey to really focus on, strengthening their trust, their diversity, collaboration, and all really synced into your KPI. So we measure the results, and I do some mentoring as well with the leaders. So this is one of the solutions we have. It's a 12-week program. And the bespoke learning is something that I've been working a lot recently, which is just helping a lot of organizations transition their training into e-learning. Because I've worked with training SOPs, implementations. I've launched a lot of hotels in my career, and I've gone through the whole binders, books, SOPs that really never worked. You put a lot of energy on them, but they are not something that is easily consumed. But since last year, really, with the pandemic, I started to work a lot with e-learning, and it became a new passion because you can do so much with it. You can really streamline your onboarding, and do loads of trainings. I have hotels who are thinking of using this as training even for sales. You can prepare like a whole e-learning journey for travel agents to go through and understand about your brand. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and it's not something that is out of reach for smaller businesses as well. So I'm really keen to bring this and democratize, let's say, the access to e-learning to smaller organizations who maybe didn't have this before. And yeah, and this is me. I didn't have a clock with me, Robin, so I have no idea how I did it for time.
Very well, very well.
Hopefully it was okay. No,
excellent, and some very good advice there. I know I laugh when you say perspective, because having seen what I've seen in the industry, I kind of have a different perspective on many situations than others. I sort of say, oh no, that's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's all a case of what you've seen, what you're used to, what you've seen, and going forward. But yeah, I commend Daniel for his open door policy, because I think at the end of the day, if people feel they can actually communicate and talk to somebody about the issues, then it sort of just like helps them to sort of take a step back, as it were.
Yeah.
It can take some time, some days, but it is definitely worth it.
Yeah.
And I see some of the comments here, saying, like this, what we're going through now is not news, results of many years of poor practice, but it's really, you can still do your little. I mean, I think we have to do a change as an industry anyway, and we have great opportunities to do that as a group. But you can transform your environment within your business. You don't have to, I think it's just being a bit creative and trying to find new solutions. And everyone is kind of open for that right now, for change and for trying new things. So it's a super opportunity, I think, because you have that reasoning of COVID to say, you know what, guys, team, we're going through this. What about if we try this differently? I want to make it work for you, and really show some vulnerability. You don't need to have all the answers. I think it's also the time when people are being more open for that. So yeah.
Rena, perhaps may I clarify my comments in that respect? My concern is that I see a lot of people in the industry at the moment who I think conveniently are choosing to think that COVID is the cause of these problems. It's not.
No.
This problem has been coming for years, and as an industry, I've been critical for many years that we've stuck our heads in the sand, ignoring the challenges that we have. I think it would be very short-sighted to think that when we eventually find a resolution to the COVID crisis, that these staffing problems will go away. I do not believe for 1 second that they will, because we've been, as an industry, we have caused this problem for many, many years. We have to change. And I'm not yet seeing within the bulk of the industry, I'm seeing some fantastic individual examples, and I applaud those individual examples. But I think as a whole, as an industry, we've not yet accepted that things have to change at a fundamental level.
Yeah.
I think also in hospitality, when it comes to the staff serving, the dealing with difficult customers, I don't know if it's appropriate to say, difficult situation with customers, they're not given the tools to deal with it. They're just expected to deal with it. But no one is giving tools, and then you get full internet with memes and jokes how they hate customers. I never hated any customer, and I've seen plenty difficult ones and purely trying to get free stuff. And I never let them, disrespect my stuff either. I would jump in straight away and make it clear that I understand this is situation. I acknowledge it, but you will respect my stuff. So they're not given the tools as well.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that comes with a long time. They always been expected just to deal with it.
Yeah, the T word is very important in training. A lot of the time people are thrown in at the deep end and aren't actually trained on how to deal with difficult clients, how to deal with systems, how to do all the bits and pieces. They kind of expect that, oh yeah, it's easy, just get in there and do it. And a lot of the time that goes along with the well-being, because if you're trained and you understand how to deal with the situations, you don't get as stressed. But what do the companies do when they hit a bad patch? The first thing they get rid of is the HR and the training departments, because they think, oh, well, yes.
But I think one of the things that I was really keen to do with the program, again, that I developed, the Biserini in particular, and this is something I've done, you know, in the hotels, this one that I mentioned in particular, we had a whole serenity focus. We would have affirmations. I would get the whole team on board to because it's a lot easier to do that when everyone is on it. You know, it's really, when you work about emotional intelligence and your self-awareness and all that, it is a lot easier to do it when you are in an environment where everyone is talking about it, and you do sort of this collective effort, because how we behave is really rubbed into, you know, how other people beside us are feeling and the whole environment. So trying to bring those lessons, not as something you just say, you know, just do the training, but embed it into your day-to-day and make it part of your operations is really the key. It's not something to do like a weekend meeting and you talk about well-being and then off you go. Now you've learned it. You have to make it part of your operations. So this is something we would always do. And you know, whether it's 5 minutes on your weekly staff meeting, we would talk about it. We would reflect about some values. We would talk about you know, whether it's trust, collaboration, or something like that. And it's part of who you are, and people really get that it's not just a word on your wall in terms of your company values. Those are things that you really believe in and you want to bring it to the business. So I think that's really important.
Excellent. Anybody else?
There was great, it reminded me, the Simon Sinek gave great example, basically effect of well-being in the workplace. So he went to the hotel, like really posh, nice hotel, just for a coffee, and the bartender that made him coffee, he was so nice, had a chat with him, they had a laugh, and he sees that the guy purely loves his job, and normally people like that don't love their job, just serving coffee, drinks. And he asked him, you know, like, what is it that you love so much about this job? And he said, here, you know, I can be me, any manager, even not only his manager, but any other department managers. Every time they pass him, they ask, is there anything I can help do for you to do your job? You know, you need, is there anything I can help? And then he said, I also work in another hotel as well. His second job, another hotel, that I keep my head down and I just do my job. I don't talk, I don't do anything. I keep my head down because their managers just look for what you've done wrong, or, you know, just keep an eye, just catch you out. So that's kind of the effect of well-being.
I think also as well, I think if the senior managers are on the shop floor, leading by example, talking to the guests, just like you're saying, asking what can I do to help, you know, even if it's just clearing a table or, you know, talking to a guest, you know, that people just want to be looked after, don't they? They don't want to feel like they're putting more pressure on while the you know, the gaffer's sat having a cup of tea. It's all, you know, that well-being is for everybody, you know, as the figurehead of a business. You're looking after, you're hugging these people and you're looking after them, and you're right. It's just talking to your staff and just, how can I help? You know, what are you struggling with? It goes a very, very long way. It's they don't feel like they're putting pressure on and go, well, you know what, they're doing better next door. We'll go there because they're being looked after. We've had 4 members of staff come to us from the hotel next door in recent weeks, purely because their staff food is awful. You know, as simple as that. We've got 4 employees now, because we feed them right, because our accommodation is better, because we're giving them, you know, a better life, because, you know, living isn't great. We've got 4 members of staff who are going to be loyal to us now for the foreseeable, just because.
Yeah, I think it's
food than the hotel next door.
Yeah, for hotels that don't treat people rightly, it's going to be an ever downward circle, because if they don't treat them correct, the staff will go somewhere else where they treat them correct. The service will get worse. The money will be worse, etc., etc. And unless they actually get a grip and realize that the issue is treating people well, so that they actually grow that team, then yeah, there's going to be some fallout even now.
And for just such a little cost, you know, just raising the standard of staff breakfast, staff lunch, and staff dinner, and then you've got, you know, your people hanging around.
Excellent. Right, well, we've talked about how to keep them. Now let's have a chat about how to get them.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, so thank you, Karina. Let's give way to Nico, and let's talk about recruitment.
Let's do that. Okay, so my presentation is in support of what everybody has actually been saying. I'm Nico de Freitas. I work as a consultant for Global Personal Services. Can you all see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So who is the person? I am, I should start here. Who is the person? I am an individual of 3 generations of hoteliers back in Portugal and in Jersey. I was born in the island of Madeira, and my ambition was to become a hotelier like my parents had been prior to myself. I mainly worked through food and beverage, and I started the journey in a pot wash, washing pots, and enjoyed it very much. And I then basically grew through a variety of channels, yeah. And I kept training myself to ensure that what I was doing was good and that I was being a benefit to the others that were working with me. I started the pot wash at the Adelphi in Liverpool in its early days, and I then went to work as a challenge to Jersey, where my parents as hoteliers were. And I use this moment here to tell you that in 1965, when my parents went to Jersey, the hospitality industry, yeah, in UK and in Jersey was probably at the worst situation than it is now. And my father tells me that at the time, he was one of the first ones to be taken to Jersey with a group of 10 people, then followed by another 20 later, yeah, from the island of Madeira to help tourism. And in those days, you also needed work permits and everything. So it's quite aligned to what's happening today, although without the work permits. I've moved back to UK and I started management positions with Ladbroke Hotels, which was then Stroke Hilton, Scottish Highland Hotels, Friendly Hotels, P&T Classic Hotels. I also worked with 1 or 2 private individuals. One of them eventually became my partner. In my late 30s, I started Alliance Hotels with a chap called Alec Watson, and we operated 3 hotels, yeah, including myself as a consultant, and I worked in America in a variety of hotels in UK. And the reason I'm saying that is because it led me to expand into other areas, like in different communities and different groups, including I was part of the team that created Scotland's Gulf Coast, which is a brand for Scotland. A group that also started golf packages back 20 years ago. I started the first ever golf package in Scotland with a variety of different golf courses. I now work for Global Personal Solutions, and my talk is not just about what Global Personal Solutions recruitment company does or my journey with them, but also we do offer not just hospitality, but a variety of other consultations in in leisure, airlines, finance, IT. So our knowledge is through a variety of different channels. My channel is hospitality. Yeah. In the last few months, I have actually been the worst ever worried about the industry. Remembering that my journey started in a pot wash, and I've worked all through a variety of big brand companies, small companies, individual companies, private hotels. What I've been finding is something that actually makes me very sad. Yeah. A lot of people have been in this group have talked about presentations about pre-COVID and what we need to do out of COVID. Barry said a few minutes ago that it's still, people are blaming COVID. And I totally would agree with him. It's nothing to do with COVID. So my background of looking at all these different things is that people have been talking about accommodation, leisure tourism, booking agencies, food and beverage experts have been talking in the forum, energy experts, professionals that are explaining about business that is controlled by a visual cost. My presentation is about recruitment. It's a hidden cost. And the reason it's a hidden cost is because you're not actually seeing that cost because it's about time. It's time that can be wasted, just like a piece of fruit, like a product that's got a shelf life. Time that people use in preparing for adverts, a variety of different things. I'm just giving you a couple of examples, of what the time that it takes to be able to deal, with the employment aspect of things. Time that should really be used, in better projects. Let's ask a question. Whose market is anyway at the moment? Everybody's talking about recruitment, how the business are going, can't service the business. In my lifetime, and what I've been finding is that is it the market for the employer or the employee? And what I found is that, in my experience, it's always been the employee's market. It's always been about it. Business have been waiting to interview and to employ staff, but staff have always had choices. But now, there's more choices. Employees know more about what's important for them and to their families. Employees have just spent a long time, spending time with family, doing things with family. They're telling me, I do not want to go back into their circumstances. I do not want to go back and do 40 hours a week in 2 days. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. If you look at the employment figures that I've just taken this as a snapshot of where the market is. UK population of 67 million. And you look at the chart and you can see, that there's a lot of information of where the potential are. The employer expectations are still wanting to pay the minimum wage. They're still looking for people to do 45 to 50 hours a week. That's what I'm finding when I'm speaking to employers. They say, Nico, I want to a chef, or I want a restaurant manager, or I want this. And I say, what's the hours that you're expecting them to do? Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, and also say that I haven't put in here. There's been one or two that have said, what's necessary to service my business? A lot of employers are expecting employees to work 5 evenings a week, expecting them to work the weekends because it's when they're busy. And job seekers are expecting a competitive rate above basic pay, more flexibility, and occasional weekends off, good training, and a few of you have actually mentioned dealing with complaints. A lot of the people I've interviewed and I've spoken to, not only are they wanting better training, but they're also wanting to feel appreciated. They still want to be respected in the workplace. A few have told me that they've actually had to go and deal with complaints when the manager was sitting, having a chat, over a coffee with somebody else. This is not going to increase employment. This is not going to change things. They want a recognition for the work that they do. People only look for changes when they're not happy with the present arrangements or the needs have changed. What should the present employees need to do? And I'm just using a couple of pointers. The industry needs to be more inventive and change the way the industry is perceived from an early age. In UK specifically, the industry is not well respected. If we need to change things, we need to go right at the beginning. I'll give you an example. When I came to East Lothian at the time that I did, the employment in East Lothian was very, very low. And I jointly with the council decided that for the future of hospitality in our area, that we would carry out some talks in schools. We've started a cooking competition, inter-schools competition. We brought some of those children's and teenagers to our hotels and restaurants. We joined together. We basically allowed them to cook in an environment with support to encourage them to not only to learn how to create food, but to also understand where food comes from. I remember going to one of the local schools and I took some crisps and I actually showed them the packet of crisps. I opened it and I said, where do you think crisps come from? Some of them didn't even know that it came from potatoes. So I'm just using as an example of what we are needing to go. We need to be attentive to staff needs. We must stop treating staff like machines. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. They're working, a machine breaks, and if you stretch something, it will break. So if you're stretching somebody in the pressures of work, it will break. I think we need to start at the beginning with the basics, We need to create an employment core value. An employment core value that is important for everyone. Investigate their business recruitment needs in advance of needing it. A lot of the time, I've heard sack them quick and be slow in employing. If you do that, it's going to take a long time and the business is going to suffer. Employment process takes time and it's very expensive, and it's a hidden cost. Once completed the strategy plan, now you can move forward. Not that the business needs have been identified, we're going to take it forward by managing the costs effectively. Something is going to suffer if you don't look at those costs and the exercises proper. This may take some time to consider the seeking the assistance of an HR person or a recruitment company to allow it to continue with the jobs that your business needs you to do. So if you are going to try to do everything together, something is going to suffer and you're never going to move forward. We offer that just the same as many others offer their help, not the solution, the help, because the solution needs to actually start with the core employment requirements, and how you're going to look after them when they're with you. I'm going to give you a helping hand in those requirements. You need to recruit needs, and you need to strategize to improve the things to going forward. There are unlimited number of strategies you can implement, but you want to ensure you're making the most of the efforts by seeking goals and planning how to reach them. Number one, if you're having a hard time getting candidates to apply to try a new job, try new job boards and host a hiring event. If it's taken months to fill a position, tap into different networks or offer your team a higher employee referral bonus. This I have seen in many companies. When I've spoken to them, I say, oh, yes, I've got a £50 referral bonus. I've actually laughed at a few times because £50, it would cost you £50 just to make the advert. So I think when we're doing this, I think we need to be a little bit more generous in what the referral bonus should be, for a member of staff that's referring an employee to you. But that member of staff then needs to believe that you're a good employer to recommend a friend. You're not going to recommend a friend, if you don't believe that your employer is a good employer. Going to move this. Optimize the career vacancies in your vacancies page. There's been one or two of the people that I've actually spoken to. They don't even have a vacancy page in their website. If you don't have that, then it's not going to happen. It's a great source of promoting open roles, share content, and provide information on company's mission, culture, and the benefits of being in that company. Your competitors are doing it. So if you don't do it, you're not going to stand out. One of the companies that I actually was talking to, they're recording employees' testimonials via a company podcast, and I thought this was a good idea. Employees' testimonials in the careers page, but it was only time where the employee's testimony provided a 3 to 5 minute podcast, basically explaining, how good the company was. There was emotion, there was feeling behind it, and it's a good way of passing that message across because it seems to be honest, Start more conversations in chat box. Intel, as one of our clients, actually did this. They have a mechanism, I know it's a bigger company, But there are many big companies that don't actually even have that. And I think this was a very good way, yeah, of the company passing the message. The chat box gave them information, the benefits of the company, their unique hiring process. Share the company culture in social. Social media recruitment is still very alive and well. And now you can't escape from it. Instead, embrace it, because if you don't do that, you've left behind. Feature employees on Instagram, employees of the month, yeah? So that basically the employees of the month are saying what they've actually have achieved themselves for the company. Create a depth of recruitment content. Creating a depth of content, your company is a great way to provide candidates with a solid insight into the organization that goes beyond the basics. Many companies have started to write long blogs, with various topics candidates may want to learn about during the recruitment process. Share your company projects. This was actually one that came from a engineering company. They decided they would start sharing the project that the team was working. It could be any project, yeah. It could be a wedding fair project by putting it together. They started creating those teams projects and sharing them, yeah, which created other business, other employees to see what that engineering company was working on, and basically created enthusiasm, yeah. And that you all know that a team that works together, yeah, creates a good feeling and a good prospect. Give employees a deserved spotlight. And this is one that is actually very important, that came out in quite a lot of the projects that I've worked in. They're saying, my boss is always getting the spotlight, and we're the ones that are creating and helping him to be there, but we're not getting any spotlight at all. We're not basically getting recognized for the work that we're getting or that we're working on. Post on Medium. Facebook, maybe we all know that they've got the shares and likes and everything, but there are many other platforms, yeah, with content on Medium. Film a recruitment video. One of the companies that we've actually just finished this about 2 weeks ago was actually create the video, you know, for the company so that they can put in their website. This was interesting because it made the staff actually think about what they were doing and also about the journey and the culture of the company. Build a talent community and research passive candidates. A lot of the time, I've asked one or two of the companies, have you got any of your old CVs or anything? And they all bin them. And I basically suggested, why not put it together, make sure that you're in a situation that you've got the open roles and you can get back to people saying, you know, that position, you weren't successful in it, but I'm really interested in you, yeah, and work from there, because it's a means of looking at candidates. They've showed interest in you, yeah. One of the candidates, well, many of the candidates have said that many of the times they've actually sent CVs in and they don't even get a recognition for the CV that they've received. That is a lack of care. That is a lack of showing no content for the people that have put the effort in getting in touch with you. That came quite a lot. Provide job alerts, yeah, in your websites and through your the candidates that you work with. Yeah, I think it's very important that the job alerts are done quite sensitive. I have 2 clients at the moment that they don't want us to actually promote the hotel, to say where the hotel is. For us to look at the candidates, they don't want us to do any marketing, yeah, because they are concerned that they will be seen that they haven't got the staff, and therefore that their service is going to suffer, and therefore people are not going to think of them as prestigious as they are. That's very hard, yeah, to actually find candidates to push them towards that property or those properties when you can't actually advertise, or you can't basically say it until we've actually ran down to 1 or 2. Allow anyone to apply at any time. Establish the employee referral program that I was saying before. It's very important that the most loyal people that you have should actually be your empress, to pass on the message of how good an employee you are. We've just been saying a few minutes ago about the quality of food. The quality of food is expected to be as good to the staff as it should be to the clients, if that is part of their business or their pay. Utilize niches of candidate networks. Probably have a system written down for posting jobs and career pages and notice boards, and it's important to branch out into a wider range of networks to reach a diverse type of staff. One of 2 of the companies that I've actually worked, I've actually reached out to the military and others, and they're actually employing veterans that have actually been forgotten. A lot of the companies have also I know in today's market, it's been difficult to employ staff, but it's also, there's been 1 or 2 that have come to us and have said, we only want a limit on the age of the individual. We don't want a waiter, yeah, at 50-year-old. And that is so sad, yeah. That is sad. That is really below what I would expect, yeah, because a 50-year-old, and I'm pushing 60, is as important as a 17 or 18-year-old. And I think in life, as a waiter, as a 50 or 60-year-old, has got more life experience, more interactive with the people they're working with. Recruiting people with disabilities, it's very important. Yeah, I know that some companies talk about it. Yeah, but a lot of those companies that I've actually experienced, they do the talk, but they're not doing the walk. Provide students with an early career opportunity. going back to the things that we were actually, that I was saying about starting a cookery program with the schools, inter schools. I think in the industry, a lot of companies, accounts, and other variety of different business go to schools and have a chat. I think we, as an industry, need to go, yeah, and encourage that from the beginning. They are going to experience a journey which is exciting, even if they don't go into the industry. They will learn how to cook. They will learn how to behave in an environment, yeah, that it is so diverse. You need to take advantages of a variety of search engines, yeah. Within Google and others, they have a variety of facilities, yeah, that do CEO management of you managing your recruitment page, and then you can find out, yeah, how many hits it's gone and how it's been basically developed. It's very important that this is used within your websites. And if all fails, or if you are in a situation that you haven't got the time, this is when you call on people like us, or many other companies like us, to be able to provide the help that you need. We will select a candidate for you, and then we will present the candidates that we would think that you are going to need. And instead of you doing 10 interviews, you will do 2 or 3. That's saving you time. And we will look for reference background on those individuals, before they come to you. We will do our due diligence to be able to help in business moving forward. I hope it was interesting. And one thing I will say is that the journey that we're all finding it's a very difficult journey. And it's a journey, that needs to be changed. And people like us need to make those changes. It is so sad to actually speak to many people that we have in our books and to try to share their journey with them and to understand how painful their last few years of employment have actually been. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Some great advice there. And a lot of chat going on in the background there. Yes, saying you don't want 50-year-old waiters is discrimination, definitely, and bad for your business, because they probably know more about how to treat the customer than a young lad straight out of college.
I'd still take you on, Robin.
What?
I'd still take you on.
It's true. It's when people are telling me this, I actually flinch. And I have to ask the question: do I really want to work with this individual? Or not? But it's happening now.
Yep, there's a lot of people in the industry who haven't realized yet what the basis of the issue is. They still think it's just the pandemic or Brexit or something. They don't realize actually it's what's been going on in the industry for years, and we just haven't got a grip on it. It's funny, going right back to the beginning of the things, though. It is funny how you treat people. I remember I went into one hotel of a very famous group, and I was giving a tour around the place, and I saw a chef walk out of the kitchen. The face he had as he walked out the kitchen, you could have killed someone with. And as soon as he saw me, and it was just like, yeah, that means you're not really happy with what you're doing in this place. You're just following the what they say, that you have to smile to the customer, and it kind of really drilled into me that, you know, even the big ones that talk about how they treat their staff and, you know, this, that, and the other, if they haven't got the right ethos within that particular unit, it's all just talk, and it won't get them through.
Unfortunately, the last few months, to me, it's been an eye-opener how many big international companies have actually do the talk, and there's no walk.
No.
But I guess it's like you said, a lot of the you have a lot of customers now deciding to where to buy because of its green credentials, and I think more and more so customers are also going to look into your people credentials. You know, are you a business that looks after people? Am I going to put the money in you because of that? And even it's like you say, Robin, you know, if you feel uncomfortable, you know, if you go to a place, it could be as great as it could be on paper, but if you feel it's all a bit fake, their relationship, you know, people want more authenticity. I think we've always wanted, but I think if we can choose, we'll go for that.
Well, Karina, one of the clients that I spoke last week, I said to them, have you spoken to your staff to see if your staff would recommend any of their friends or family relations? It wasn't a big hotel, and he said, oh no, I don't think they will recommend any of their friends. And I said, don't you think you need to start by convincing that staff that that you are a good employer?
For sure.
And I think he was offended. I think he was offended with what I've said, but because he hasn't come back to me yet.
I think Robin, there's two questions that when we did the poll. Morning, everyone. Basically we did a poll, and obviously questions that were on job adverts. There's two questions that came out of it. One is your age range, which is irrelevant, and the other one that really is irrelevant is what was your last salary. Absolutely irrelevant. You're paying for somebody now for their skill set and the value to bring to your business, and you're not paying them their old salary. So those are the two questions that came out. Totally irrelevant. And some of them total discrimination as well.
Well, Nigel, you know, this is really painful to me, because this is a passion of an industry that I have loved, and when we haven't changed from where it was 30 years ago. We haven't, and I remember that the hospitality industry, hotels and that, we were the leaders in a variety of different things, and airlines took lead from us, that, you know, everything. Now we're right behind everybody, and we need to change that concept completely. And one of the clients that I spoke to recently, I was saying to them, your staff are your best friends, because if you look after them, they will look after you. If you were to invite friends round to your house, you would ensure that those friends were being cared for. Therefore, you need to do the same thing to the staff, to be able to take them with you, forward.
Excellent. Right. Well, as usual, we're over the mark. I think that's a very important point to finish on. Thank you all for attending again today, and hope to see you all again in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Robin. Bye now.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Robin.
Thanks.